Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Our current session focuses on the background of the silent way method. I hope and expect by the end of this session you would be able to understand what is silent way method and what are the theoretical underpinnings of this method. Well, my dear students, this method was devised by Gallegano. And as far as the basis of this method is concerned, it has its base in the assumption that the teacher should be silent as much as possible in the classroom, but the learner should be encouraged to produce as much language as possible. Now, if you look at this basic rule or the base of this silent way method, you would realize that this is completely against many of the earlier methods. This method does not give a central position to the teacher. It does not give much role to the teacher. The role of the teacher is very, very passive. Elements of the silent way, particularly the use of color charts and the colored questionnaire rods, grew out of Gallegano's previous experience as an educational designer of reading and mathematics programs. So this program uses different color charts and different color rods, etc., to kind of stimulate or motivate the learners to speak. The silent way shares a great deal with other learning theories and educational philosophies that can be stated as follows. I would take you through them one by one. Number one, learning is facilitated if the learner discovers or creates rather than remembers and repeats what is to be learned. So the focus, according to the silent way method, should not be on remembering or on memorizing or on repeating. The focus should rather be on creating and on discovering language or new linguistic items. Secondly, learning is facilitated by accompanying or by mediating physical objects. If physical objects are attached to the process of learning, learning becomes easier, and according to this method, actually the use of color charts or color rods, etc., is a very, very useful tool. Thirdly, learning is facilitated by problem solving involving the material to be learned. So this particular method, the silent way method, focuses more on what I would say critical thinking. Now let us consider each of these aspects in detail. The silent way belongs to a tradition that views learning as a problem-solving, creative, discovering activity in which the learner is the principal actor rather than a bench-bound listener. So the role of the learner is central. The role of the learner is active as compared to the role of the teacher, who is supposed to play a very passive role, who is supposed to be as less active as possible, who is supposed to be as much silent as possible. Berner discusses the benefits derived from discovery learning under the following four headings. The increase in intellectual potency. So according to the discovery learning, as Berner discusses it, it helps in increasing the number one, the intellectual potency of the learners. Number two, the shift from extrinsic to intrinsic rewards. Outsider rewards, the external world rewards, according to this method of teaching language, are not necessary. Rather, the intrinsic rewards, that is the internal satisfaction, is more important. And the learning, number three, of heuristics by discovering is important. Fourthly, the aid to conserving memory. So, the process of learning itself does not emphasize memory. Rather, the process of creating language is used as an aid to support memory or to create memory. Gallegano claims similar benefits from learners taught via the silent way. Secondly, the rods and the color-coded pronunciation charts that are called fight charts provide physical foci for the student learning and also create memorable images to facilitate students to recall them. So these visuals of colors and of rods, they not only kind of provide the physical focus for the students, but also they enable retaining the information in psychological terms. These visual devices serve as associative mediators for the students in the process of learning. Thirdly, the silent way is also related to a set of premises that we have called problem-solving approaches to language. So critical thinking ability is focused on in the silent way method. These premises are succinctly represented in the words of Benjamin Franklin as when Franklin says, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn." So, the involvement of the learners in the process is the focus point of the silent way method, where the teacher remains as much passive as possible and speaks as less as it is possible for him or her in a language teaching learning classroom.